Hi everyone. Um, Another update video. Think I'm past 212 pages now. Just plodding along. A new character's been kind of like proper introduced now, which is not exactly going to be a love interest, but kind of along them lines. Yeah. So yeah, it's not going to be like overt. I mean, I think people might just guess it because of the situation, which I don't know how I feel about it, but it is what it is. You know, they had to be introduced for this reason, and the main character and this character will be together, but not for far down. Not in this book, basically. Anyway, I've introduced them, and yeah, so the characters are planning something, and there's a bunch of dialogue, and it's dead, it's just dead interesting. It's just kind of like letting loose with the dialogue is just loads of fun. Just can really develop the characters and set the scene and all this stuff. It's it's great. Excuse me. I'm tired. So that's where I'm up to. Last week was good writing sessions. Done quite a few. I think maybe four writing sessions. So that's all good. Hoping to get a few done this week. Wednesday being one of them. Don't have time tonight. But Wednesday, Friday, definitely some on the weekends because there's no football. So that just frees up my time completely. So that's all good, yeah. But yeah, I just want to talk about the book and the idea for the 3 books. So what I wanted to do with these trilogies, I was always going to self-publish, and I just kind of wanted to learn the ropes of writing, and at the same time make a bit of money and get a few fans kind of thing, followers or whatever, build me social media. Fortunately, the powers that be ruined Twitter, so I've deleted that. So basically, a lot of that work, a lot of work I put in to build up this following. I just had to, it just died. Twitter died, and if for me, the interaction was 10 to 20 likes, let's say, on a tweet, and then every now and then I would go over 100 just with some funny writing tweet, and it was great. I'd get minimum 5 sales a month, so it was brilliant. And then everything just changed, the algorithm just changed, and obviously what you can say about the politics side of things is by the by. For me, it just collapsed, it just died. And I've heard people say how good it's been, but personally for me, it just had the most horrible effect. So that's what happened with that, the social media side. So that kind of died for me. But the good thing is that the books, the 2 books that I've released, I learned so much from them in terms of just grammar and basic writing lessons. I learned a lot from them, and I can see that in the 3rd book, and can see the lessons I learned from 1 and 2, how they're developing. I learned about people who you should hire for your editing process. I learned a lot through that, the artists and all that kind of stuff. I've learned never really to hire your friends, or who you think are your friends, basically, because be careful who you hire. There was one person I hired to edit my book, and they were quite vocal and what's the word? Where you divide people, divisive, on Twitter, and they end up just saying a bunch of racist and anti-Semitic stuff, and sexist stuff, and yeah. kicked, and I was like, well, I can't just be associated with you, so I had to like go separate ways, and then he kicked off, and it was just this mad thing. But I just learned then just go on like the first few editors I got, one was from Fiverr, then one was like someone on Twitter who were kind of like I knew someone who knew them kind of thing, and then the third one was someone who I knew. None of them kind of like, I think the first fella had a lot on his plate because the first draft of my first book was so raw, really raw, so much editing to do. So I think he just like, I think there was so much for him to do, and he was, when I edited things that he edited, I made mistakes on the edits. Do you know what I mean? That kind of thing. So he was like, change the sentence. So I would change the sentence, but make a grammar mistake in that sentence, for example. So yeah, loads of lessons learned. The second one was okay, but like they were American, so like they didn't understand like a lot of the words I was using. So like in my books I used the word like jail, Jaol, which is like an old English one. Like the word was in usage maybe 100 years ago, and they didn't get it. They didn't get it. And I've noticed that with like Americans. Not it's like I'm not like calling it, because I've like, I say this all the time to like my American friends and all that, but there can be a bit of like ignorance, like in the writing sense, because like I do know a writer who had to change the entire book to like drop the U's out of colour and stuff like that. So like there's a bit of like closed-mindedness when it comes to like language and stuff, when it comes to, you know, that's just a lesson that I learned as well. So yeah, so when you need it, which is fine because it's like it's their version of English and that, so you know, it's not like, I mean, I think most Americans could like kind of stretch the mind a little bit, and like when you read stuff, not like kick off. Like a lot of me American friends don't get why it, because I don't use my speech marks on double, they're just singular one, because that's how I was taught in school. My teachers were like, yeah, it's pointless physically writing two, so just put one. So now when I type I just put one, and yeah, a lot of Americans don't like that. It's kind of funny, you know, because it's obvious what it's, you know, I guess it's just jarring because they're used to one thing and then they see the other. But yeah, English editor who's like a professional, basically. You need to spend the books, basically. And then if they come out as being like anti-Semitic or whatever, you don't see their Twitter, do you know what I mean? You're not interacting, so there's nothing you can do about it, you know, there's nothing, you know, you can't foresee that, or, you know, give them a benefit of the doubt or whatever, you know. Yeah, so that's a lesson that I learned with the books, and just, yeah, honing my craft. Like for example, the thing about dialogue, you know, which has been a massive improvement for me. Plot, character arcs, and all that. Which I did have an character arc in the first book. You know, it was basically when I wrote the book, I didn't know what exactly I was writing about. Like there was obviously the story, but the themes I didn't realise what they were, and now I do realise what they were, and I could have marketed the first book in that way. But now I'm much more aware of the themes that I should be tackling, and that I just want to write a fantasy book for me. But I think I should take more care in addressing those themes, because the story's able to come alive more, I think, because that's what I've kind of addressed in the second and third book, is those themes, you know. Like in the second book, the character, in the third book, he's kind of got PTSD, although I don't address it. That's what he's going through, and so that's basically the situation, you know, that's helped the story and the character come out more. Yeah, so that's a thing that I've learned as well. And then what was the other thing I was going to say? Oh, so when it came to like the cover of the book, I was like, no, I want a cover that I like. Um, and I have always liked kind of like the 80s, 90s fantasy covers where it's all like vistas and landscapes, and you know the main characters kind of dwarfed by these like mountains, like kind of reflect the epicness of it. But obviously the trend now for like covers, I don't like modern covers at all. I think they're so like limiting, like especially like you've seen a lot of like the um kind of romance fantasy stuff, and it's like a skull with flowers, and it's just like flowers and skulls. I just see that like with loads of with loads of books now. um that's kind of like the covers, and I don't get it. Look at it and it's like, okay, it's a skull and flowers, what's the story there? I mean, death and love maybe like the themes, but like I kind of want to go, oh, that character's gonna climb up that mountain, or there's that citadel that he's trying to invade or whatever. And that's obviously just a personal thing for me. I kind of want to see like a glimpse into that world. But yeah, a lot of the covers, like even like, because I'm a massive fan of the John Gwynne books, and the first series like Malice, it's just like in the foreground is like a weapon, and in the background it's like you see a bunch of warriors like spears and stuff, as if they're about to battle. But it doesn't tell me nothing about kind of the story. It was pure luck that I picked that book up. I was just like, right, I saw a sword on the side, and I was like, I'll just like see what this is about. But it didn't like grab me. The cover didn't grab me at all. I still don't like it. Whereas in his second, like in his new series of books, like the Viking-esque kind of ones, there's like massive like dragons on the front, and there's a little character being dwarfed by this epic like monster, and you're like, oh, that's sick. Like you can imagine the world a little bit. So basically that's my opinion on it. And so I was like, right, I'm gonna do that for my covers. And the artist, I love my covers. Like I just think they're the best. Like if I saw that in a book, I'd be like, in a shop, I'd be like, yeah, I would pick them up. Especially like the second one. I just think it's so cool, the colours and everything, and like the two characters looking out. That's a scene in the book, and the first cover, they're both scenes in the book, and so it's cool to see that scene come alive. But that's not what everyone likes now. That's not what grabs people. I'd done an ad, and it was I had like 500 clicks or something, but I think no buys. So obviously people like, the ads popped up and they saw the cover, like it was impressions or whatever, but they didn't click into it. And it was maybe because of the cover, is what I've found out, that it's just not trending now, and people, yeah, maybe it's an age thing, whatever. So what I've learned is that, yeah, you can't really be ignorant and arrogant and stubborn with these kind of things. You need to go along with the trends. So I've kind of hired a new cover artist, someone who I work with, but I don't know if they're going to be finishing the covers. But there's no urgency with time with them at all. But I've got an idea for new covers basically, and hopefully they're like in keeping with the trend. So I'm going to change my covers, and I'm going to drop them when the third one's come, on its way out, when I'm basically editing and it's near there. I'm going to do like re-release the first one 3 months before the third book comes out, second one like a month and a half, and then release the third one. That's like the plan, to drum up like excitement and all that. So so that's a thing that I learned. I can't be like resistant to like what the current trends are. And yeah, on Twitter, like a lot of people, I remember like were doing like what do you call, like engagement posts, and I was like, oh fuck that, I'm not doing that. Like that's, that's not who I am kind of thing. But they're massive now, and they've got loads and they're doing dead well. So it's, I don't know if I would do that, because it's just not who I am. I mean, I'm okay changing the cover because it's not my personality. I'm not putting my personality out there. But if I could somehow access, like, do like TikTok videos and like point at things and go, oh, main character's got a sword, you know, no love interest, you know, all those little trendy videos. If I could somehow like manage to like just hide my personality, do you know what I mean? Just, you know, go unconscious for, you know, black out and just do a TikTok video, then I would, you know. But it's hard for me to do that because I just find it so hard. Yeah, I just find it yeah, maybe a bit cringy. Like, I don't think I could like put myself, because it's just not that I'm worried about what people think about me, in a sense, you know, because I don't care. At the end of the day, if my book sells. But it's more for me and how I view myself. I think, you know, this is why I'm doing these videos, because I don't care if they get watched. I'm doing it to keep myself on track, and I'm just like a way to like get my thoughts out there, because I think a lot to myself. And obviously, if, you know, I can talk all day to friends, family, girlfriends, but like, they want to say something, they want to interact with the conversation, and sometimes don't want that. I just want to like wave vomit like I'm doing now, and not really have like a tangible point. Maybe, I mean, I think I've got a point now, but you get what I'm saying. What was I saying? Engagement stuff, yeah. But if I could do that, then I would. I think I would try. That's something that I learned, that they are dead important, engaging on social media, and not just being a bit more aware of the trends, and engaging with the trends a little bit more, is something I think I would do. Like, maybe as the third book is getting closer, maybe on its third draft, and I'm getting things ready, then I'll be more like doing TikTok videos and stuff like that. Yeah, because it's because the whole point. So I think I'll finish this video now of what the point of the third book's, the trilogy was going to be. It's going to be kind of like an a CV, or if you're American, what do they call CVs, in a resume. So it's basically like my CV to publishers. So when I've got another book, a fourth book, which is going to be a separate story, that I think is going to be like amazing. Like, I think it's really going to sell. Yeah, I think that the idea is like, you know, lightning in a bottle kind of thing. So if I can get like following, and I can get like experience, if I can point at people and be like, yeah, the first book's got so many reviews, second one, third one, you know, I've sold 1,000 copies of the book or whatever, you know, and you can read me work and see what I'm capable of on my own, and be like, oh, well, if you can do this, then look what you can do with, you know, like a publishing house kind of thing. That was my plan for this trilogy, is to learn my craft, get myself out there, and become marketable myself. I think when I look at myself and me writing, I think I've achieved that. You know, I'm on like 96 reviews on the first book, so 4 away from 100. I've sold like over 500 copies, and the third one isn't out yet. You know, and I know a few people who've said they don't want to get the books until the trilogy's finished, and I've heard a lot of hot air from people going, "Oh yeah, I'll buy your book on next payday" and all that, and you've been saying that for like 4 years. But I do think there's people out there who are like that. They like it to be closed off and finalised. So I think 1,000 copies isn't an unreasonable goal. So yeah, that's what I wanted to talk about. You know, just the things I've learned, where I'm at, and how much I've developed. So I hope you've enjoyed it, and I'll do an update video maybe towards the end of the week. Yeah. So thanks for watching, and yeah, see you next time.